Hello there. This is Sue Simmons, as promised, back today at 2 p.m. I am the founder of Equinox Family Consulting. I've been in business since 2006, and I am so passionate about giving moms of kids with autism back their power, of helping them really understand autism, learning how to manage challenging behavior so that they can feel more competent as parents, and cultivating a more positive and loving relationship with their ASD child. And this is so doable. So welcome to episode 16 of To the Spectrum and Beyond. Today is really, I just want to help you understand what autism is. And I have a really hard time knowing when there's someone here. So I can see there's someone here, but I don't know who you are. Can you write something in the comments? All right, so I want to kind of go back to basics today. There's been so much in the media recently about these horrific situations where children are having to be restrained, taken from their families. It's so unthinkable, and it's so unnecessary because people don't know what autism is. And unfortunately, parents are not given an opportunity to really learn how to parent their child. Unfortunately, the way our system is set up right now, we are giving parents the false premise that, your child getting therapy will solve the problem. And that is not the case, okay? Because behavior happens in the context of relationships. So I made a joke a while ago about, having a challenge with my husband. Well, I'm going to have him sent off for behavior therapy. But, and I'm joking about the challenges, but it's true. We can't send somebody away, or not away, but, give them over to a therapist and expect our relationships to change. And we live in relationships, right? We know how to push our kids' buttons, and they know how to push our buttons. So it's the dynamics between parents and their child that really needs the attention. And so, but first we have to really understand what autism is. So I'm going to try and do this kind of briefly. So a child is born, and the child's neural makeup is, hi Dana, the child's neural makeup is atypical, okay? So this does not mean that the child's brain is not able to function. It just means that it's not connected in the same way as a typical child's development would be. And all development occurs through our relationships with our parents and caregivers, okay? So this is why if a child is, left in an orphanage, God forbid, with little or no stimulation, there will be a severe lack of development. So when babies are born, their brains literally develop through experience, and that's true with all of us. Our brains develop and grow and become more connected through our experiences with our caregivers and our parents and our relatives and family members. And so what happens in the case of an autistic child is because of the wiring in the brain, the child is unable to participate in that guiding relationship that is a lifelong relationship. So parents guide their child's development, and this is occurring throughout the course of life. And so if the child is not able to participate in this guiding relationship, then their development is going to occur in an atypical fashion, where there are going to be gaps in that child's development. And so another aspect of an ASD child at a very young age is that they do not have what we call a growth-seeking mindset. So if you think about a little child, always seeking, always learning, always wanting mom and dad's attention. And once they master something, they're onto something new, right? They're constantly learning and growing and developing, right? We can all look at a young child in our family or extended family and see how that occurs. But with an autistic child, they do not have this same growth-seeking mindset. In fact, quite the opposite. They are trying to maintain stability because the world is a very frightening place. So imagine the child feeling so alone without the ability, the advantage of having this guide to help them make sense of things and learn and grow. So because this guiding relationship does not occur between parents and child, there are ramifications. So the child is not able to borrow the parent's perspective. So little children are constantly looking to their parents to make sense of what's going on around them. Is it safe? Can I go ahead and do this? Is this a bad idea? Watch me. So there's so much going on between the parents and the child all the time. It's an ongoing thing. So number one, the child isn't able to borrow the parent's perspective. The child lacks resilience. This is the ASD child lacks resilience because they haven't participated in that guiding relationship and had all of those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of seemingly, innocent, meaningless interactions, but they are so meaningful. And it's a child's work to relate to the parents and learn to make mistakes and be successful. And so that doesn't happen. So the child doesn't have resilience, okay? And thirdly, the parent and the child are not in emotional sync, okay? Because they don't understand where the other is at any given time emotionally. And so these three things are what is required for this guiding relationship to take place in a typical fashion. So as a result, the child experiences a difficulty in processing information. And so what this means is that they can't take another person's perspective. They aren't able to understand how they're impacting other people. They can't make meaning of things the way a typical child can. They don't have the same ability to process information on a dynamic, in a dynamic fashion, I should say. And of course, this is in a nutshell, okay? But also, this creates a lot of anxiety, right? Imagine if all of these things were challenges for you, not to mention, sensory challenges and other biological things that can occur for, hi Lloyd Graham, can be occurring for autistic individuals. So this makes for a lot of anxiety and frustration. And so what shows up on the surface? Well, behavior, right? Behavior. And so one of the key points that I want to stress is that autistic individuals are only responding to their environment when they are exhibiting difficult behavior. So these are human reactions to their environment, okay? So kids with autism are not from Mars, right? They are human beings, but because of the challenges that they experience and the frustration of living in our crazy dynamic world, their behavior is their way of communicating, and it would be no different for any of us if we were in their shoes. So we need to be compassionate to these people, and we need to do our best to support them and to offer a helping hand when we can. And one of the biggest things that I think people are starting to understand is that we can't parent a child on the spectrum the way we can a typically developing child. And so few moms who I talk to are really given all this information that I've shared with you. In fact, very few are. I'm in the midst of 2 better behavior boot camps right now, and I think there was only 1 out of the 2 groups who had heard about ASD as being a neurodevelopmental challenge. So we can't parent our ASD kids the way we parent typically developing children, but we don't know any other way. So we try and it doesn't work. And unfortunately, our kids feel crappy, and as parents, we feel crappy, and it just creates this horrible, vicious cycle. Hi, Lena. So I want you to understand this, and I really ask you to share this because I'm on a mission to help moms, because I know what I felt like when my son was younger, and thankfully my son is doing well now, but it wasn't always that way, and I had to work my tush off to get him to where he is today. And so my solution, my short-term solution to this is the Better Behavior Group Coaching Program for moms of kids with autism. And the goal of this program is to help them understand autism through a developmental lens, to understand how to manage difficult behavior through shifting how they show up. Okay, and we see very fast results in reducing anxiety at home, reducing meltdowns, and learning to connect with their child. So it's a fantastic program. And so I hope this has been eye-opening and interesting for you. If it has, I would ask you to please like and share this with those in your circle. And especially if you have a friend or relative that has a child on the autism spectrum, please share this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next week.